Sarah stared at her phone screen, reading the text message for the third time. Her roommate Emma had come down with the flu and desperately needed someone to cover her babysitting job for the evening. The family was apparently quite wealthy, and the pay was excellent. Sarah had never babysat professionally before, but she needed the money for her art supplies, and how hard could it be to watch one little girl for a few hours? She smoothed down her soft blue cardigan and checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her blonde hair fell in gentle waves past her shoulders, and she looked presentable enough for whatever fancy house she was about to enter. Emma had given her the address in the upscale part of town, where the houses sat behind iron gates and perfectly manicured lawns. The taxi pulled up to a stunning colonial mansion just as the sun began its descent toward the horizon. Sarah paid the driver and walked slowly up the cobblestone path, taking in the elegant architecture and the warm light spilling from the tall windows. She pressed the brass doorbell and waited, her heart beating a little faster than usual. The door opened, and Sarah found herself looking up at a man who seemed to have stepped out of a magazine. He was tall and impeccably dressed in a navy blue suit that fit him perfectly. His dark hair was styled with care, and when he smiled, his entire face seemed to brighten. There was something about his eyes that caught her attention immediately. They held a warmth that contrasted with his formal appearance. You must be Sarah, he said, his voice deep and pleasant. I'm Michael Harrison. Thank you so much for coming on such short notice. Emma spoke very highly of you. Sarah felt a small flutter in her chest but managed to keep her voice steady. Of course, I'm happy to help. Michael stepped aside to let her in, and Sarah found herself in an elegant foyer with cream-colored walls and soft lighting. The house felt warm and inviting, not cold and imposing as she had expected. Family photos lined a nearby console table, and she could see toys scattered in what looked like a living room beyond. Isabella is upstairs getting ready for bed, Michael explained, leading her toward a grand staircase with a polished wooden banister. She's 5 years old and usually quite easy to manage. She's been looking forward to meeting you all day. As they climbed the stairs, Sarah noticed more family photos along the wall. Most showed Michael and a beautiful little girl with blonde hair similar to her own. She didn't see any pictures of a woman who might be the child's mother, and she wondered about the story there. Emma had mentioned it was just the father and daughter, but she hadn't provided any details. They reached a bedroom door painted soft white with delicate pink trim. Michael knocked gently. Isabella, Sarah is here to spend the evening with you. The door opened, and Sarah's heart melted immediately. A little girl with bright blue eyes and blonde hair pulled back in a small ponytail peeked out shyly. She was wearing white pajamas with tiny flowers printed on them, and she clutched a small stuffed rabbit against her chest. Hello, Isabella, Sarah said, crouching down to the child's level. I love your pajamas. And who is this handsome rabbit you have there? Isabella's shy smile grew a little brighter. This is Mr. Hopscotch. He goes everywhere with me. Well, I'm very pleased to meet both you and Mr. Hopscotch, Sarah replied, warmly. She could feel Michael watching the interaction, and when she glanced up, she saw something that looked like relief in his expression. Michael explained the evening routine to Sarah. Isabella had already had dinner and just needed to brush her teeth, have a story read to her, and then lights out by 8 o'clock. His business dinner was expected to run until around 10, and he would call to check in. Daddy has to go to boring grown-up dinner, Isabella announced matter-of-factly. But Sarah is going to read me stories. That's right, sweetheart, Michael said, kneeling down to give his daughter a gentle hug. Be good for Sarah. Okay, I will, Daddy. Sarah watched the tender moment between father and daughter, and something stirred in her chest. She could see how much Michael loved Isabella, and how comfortable the little girl was with him. There was something beautiful about their relationship that made her feel both happy and slightly wistful. After Michael left, Sarah and Isabella settled into an easy routine. They brushed teeth together in Isabella's bathroom, which was decorated with cheerful yellow ducks and had a small step stool so she could reach the sink properly. Then they chose 3 books from Isabella's extensive collection and settled onto her bed to read. Isabella proved to be a delightful companion. She asked thoughtful questions about the stories and made observations that showed she was quite bright for her age. When Sarah did different voices for the characters, Isabella giggled with genuine delight. You're really good at reading stories, Isabella said as they finished the second book. Better than Mrs. Henderson from down the street. She only uses one voice for everyone. Thank you, Sarah laughed softly. I enjoy reading stories. I'm an artist, so I like using my imagination. You're an artist. Isabella's eyes went wide, like someone who makes pictures. That's right. I paint pictures and sometimes draw illustrations for books. Could you draw me a picture sometime? Isabella asked hopefully. I would love to, Sarah replied, genuinely meaning it. ***. By the time they finished the third story, Isabella was rubbing her eyes sleepily. Sarah tucked her into bed with Mr. Hopscotch and turned on a small nightlight that cast gentle stars across the ceiling. Sarah. Isabella's voice was drowsy. Will you come back and babysit me again? If your daddy asks me to, I'd be very happy to. Sarah answered truthfully. Good, I hope he does. Sarah stayed in the room until Isabella's breathing became deep and even. Then she crept downstairs and settled into the comfortable living room to wait for Michael's return. She found herself looking at the family photos more closely, trying to piece together their story. Michael returned home just after 10 o'clock, looking slightly tired but pleased to see Sarah reading quietly on his sofa. How did everything go? He asked, loosening his tie as he sat down in the chair across from her. Wonderfully, Sarah replied honestly. Isabella is absolutely delightful. She went to sleep without any trouble at all. She really took to you, Michael observed. That doesn't always happen. She can be quite shy with new people. They talked quietly for a few more minutes, and Sarah found herself reluctant to leave. There was something calming about Michael's presence, and she could see why Isabella felt so secure with him. I hope Emma won't mind if I ask for you specifically next time, Michael said as he walked her to the door. Isabella has already asked. If you'll come back, I would love that, Sarah replied, meaning every word. Standing in the soft light of the foyer, looking up at Michael's kind face, Sarah felt something shift inside her. This had started as a simple favor for her roommate, but it had become something more. She had fallen for not just Michael's quiet strength and obvious devotion to his daughter, but for the little family they had created together. As the taxi pulled away from the Harrison house, Sarah smiled to herself. Sometimes the most unexpected moments led to the most beautiful possibilities.